Greetings, family. Hold on. I'm going to give the room a chance to fill up a little bit because we were not supposed to be going live this early. We were supposed to be going live much later this afternoon, but there's been some unexpected developments, and I want to talk to you guys about that before my next guest comes up. Hold on. Make sure I text them. Hold on. Hey, everybody. You guys, while you guys are in here, where are you guys from? What time zone are you in? Because you guys know I'm in LA. I'm on the West Coast, which means it is only 11:30 in the morning now. So all my plans for breakfast and for getting my day started kind of got thwarted because of what happened this morning. And what's crazy is this morning, I see Atlanta, so that's a lot of East Coast. Boston, I'm from Boston. That's East Coast as well. Connecticut, also East Coast. So for you guys, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. For me, my morning just started. CT Eastern time zone. Hold on, let me make sure I have this fan on me. It's interesting because I'm in my laundry room, so it gets warm in here. So I have to have a fan on me, but I have to make sure not to have the fan on too high because doing that 6-hour live with a fan on me gave me a cold. I had a head cold the next day because, like when you sleep with AC on. Hold on, how do I make the fan? How do I pivot? Okay. All right, so it seems most of you, this is like a diva fan. It's like blowing me like Beyonce. Okay, it's a little too strong. It's too strong. God damn it. There we go. Guys, it's been a long weekend. And while we wait for Dr. Thomas to come in, because we were supposed to originally have Bridget Kelly on the show. So for those of you who are wondering, where is Bridget? Why is she not on the show today? The reason why is because some of you might not have known this, but on Friday, it was a National Ectopic Pregnancy Day. And my friend very bravely shared her journey. She just had a pregnancy that could not go to term recently, as in like the last 2 weeks. She shared about it on her Instagram. She got an outpouring of love on the day that she made the announcement. She kept on saying, Blue, if you cry, I'm going to cry. So there's a lot of tears that I intentionally didn't shed because I didn't want to set her off. And when you're in your late 30s going into your 40s and you think you might be open, I'm not going to cry. It's been a long morning. When you are in your late 30s going into your 40s and you think that you might be open to having a child after all, and you recognize that you want it and it may or may not happen, there's a certain level of ambivalence that you find yourself clinging to because you want to have hope if there's a chance, but you don't want to be disappointed. Hey, Dr. Thomas, I'm going to call you up in a second. I'm just doing the intro. You look so cute. There's a certain level of ambivalence that people who are assigned female at birth, that's the language I'm going to be using because today's episode is all about sex and identity. People who are assigned female at birth who hit over the age of 35 find themselves in this interesting space of, okay, I'd be open to a baby. And also, I'm not sure I want to hope too hard for a baby because if I hope too hard and I don't have a baby, it might be too devastating for me to bounce back from. And so when we found out that Bridget's pregnancy could not go to term because it was an ectopic pregnancy, which means the egg was, I think, and excuse me if I'm saying this wrong, is like floating around in the tube. It's not in the right place, so it can't go to term. We cried and we laughed, which is how me and Bridget's conversations usually happen. She'll tell me something really sad or serious, and before I know it, I'm making a compassionate yet slightly inappropriate joke, and we're cackling in the middle of the tears. So we were crying and laughing like we usually do during devastation. And I said, friend, can I be honest? Because, I like to ask my friends for permission when I know I'm about to be very bluntly neurodivergent. And she said, yeah, be honest. And I said, now that you see how devastated you are, can we admit you want a baby? Right? Because once you make peace with the devastation, you also have to honor the wanting. And so many of us are scared to want, right? So she made the announcement on Friday. Me, Cheech, my sister Mel, we were all so proud of her. Her family was so proud of her. She went to see her mom, MK, who lives near the water. And she told us there was a test that was going to happen. And the test was going to tell her what next steps were. I'm trying my best not to share too much because there's the part that she shared and there's the part that she has yet to share, and I don't want to speak on her behalf. I will say this. Oh, at 7:00 this morning, my eyes pop open. 7:00 Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Let me tell you right now, I didn't go to bed till 3 a.m. Pacific time last night. So me getting up before 9 is unheard of because I barely got any sleep. So I'm thinking, oh, I went to bed late. I'm going to sleep in late. And at 7 a.m., my eyes pop open and they won't shut. And I was like, what is happening? Because I didn't wake up. My eyes just popped open. And I was like, what is going on? Why can't I go back to sleep? I tried to pee, got some water, couldn't go back to sleep. Something said, check your phone. I checked my phone. At 7:12, Bridget had texted me. And she's not going to be able to go live with us today because she needs to make sure that she's okay. I'm happy she's with her mom. Ugh. Oh my God, I'm not a crier. This Mercury retrograde has been something. I'm happy she's with her mother, who was a medical professional, was a midwife for like 30 plus years, worked in Black and brown communities. So MK is one of those white women who knows what it's like dealing with women of color in the medical field. And she understands our mortality rates and why we need an advocate there. So my friend is taking care of her health, and that's why she's not here today. And, you know, she always says, Blue, if you cry, I'm going to cry. So I didn't let myself cry. I told her I loved her. Then I let myself cry. And it's crazy because when we think about women over 35 having babies, we think about, I hope the baby's safe. I hope the baby's safe. We sometimes forget to think, I hope the mother is safe, right? We sometimes forget that the vessel is a human. So please, this is my long-winded way of saying, please send, sorry guys. I'm happy she's not here because I don't want to cry in front of her. Please send my friend your prayers because she's going through a lot. And I think this is why last year when her co-host was being so mean to her, I was so protective. And last year when Icky was being so mean to me, she was being so protective. Because just because we're really positive people and we're really strong people doesn't mean we're not going through stuff, right? Doesn't mean we're not going through stuff. And so when people are mean to us because they resent our light, they resent how people love us, they resent our blessings or how lucky we are, luck doesn't mean you're not human. Being loved or lovable or having people like you doesn't mean you're not going through stuff. And grace doesn't mean that pain is not also present. So, yeah, I hope at some point Bridget will be okay and feel up to coming on here to talk to you guys directly. And I will say this before I bring Shanea up. I said in the previous live that I have this habit of booking flights to the East Coast when somebody I love is about to have a medical emergency. I kept flying to Boston. My mother, right before my mother, sorry, I'm sorry speaking in Spanish. I went to Boston right before my mother ended up in the emergency room on several occasions. I booked a flight to New York a month and a half ago, before the pregnancy, before any of this happened. I said, Bridget, I am coming to New York in August. And she and I have both learned, whenever I say I'm showing up to New York, I'm showing up to New York, bitch, because I need to lay eyes on you. And so I didn't break the curse, right? It's not a curse, it's a blessing. I'm going to be in New York in about 2 weeks to love on her in person. So yeah. So on to something a little bit happier. I hope I did that okay. On to something a little bit happier. Somebody said, so glad she's with her moms. I am too, love. So right after I got off the phone with Bridget, I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to do a live about pop culture and move on. And I was about to do a new storyboard of what I wanted to do this live on. And out of nowhere, Thunderclap said, call Shanea. Shanea needs to come on the show. And I was like, what now? Mind you, it's like 7:45. I've been through enough, right? Shanea. And so Shanea is a friend, Dr. Thomas, if you will, is a friend of mine for almost 20 years now, which is wild. So we've known each other for a very long time. We've seen several iterations of each other. So guys, please welcome, and I need to make sure I say this correctly, clinical professor, licensed social worker, and certified sex educator, Dr. Shanea motherfucking Thomas. Hey, hey, friend.
Hello,
You
and
know,
hello,
I had to
everybody.
give all the. You know, I had to flex on you, friend, because you be too modest. You get on my nerves.
Just thank you.
I love
I
you so
appreciate it.
much, and thank you
I
for
love
taking
you
my
too.
call in the middle of the morning.
Yeah,
Can you hop on live in the middle of the world burning? Love you.
I was like, yeah, I'm just in between appointments. Sure, I could do it. So yes, and sorry, I'm in my car, everybody, but I'm in my car.
You look
Taking
cute. Did you
care of
get
my
dressed up
kids.
for us?
I did. I smell good and everything.
I can tell you smell good. Shanae is a tourist. We like to smell good even when there's nobody else around. Guys, the amount of times that I spray myself, even though y'all can't smell it, I can smell it. It's a tourist thing.
I can smell it.
Um,
Yes.
First of all, when we spoke, the first thing I remember thinking to myself is Shanae's gonna be like, so what am I walking into? But what you don't know about Dr. Thomas, Dr. T, they're already calling you in the thing, is that back in 2010, when I started my production company, Shanea was one of my first actors in my production company.
I know no better. I was like, why not? What am I doing? What life?
I wrote a script. I know a bunch of people from Howard. We're just gonna make movies and shit and see what happens. And it got real
Look at
popular.
it. Right. And look at us now.
We were local celebrities for a very hot minute. And mind you, this is 2010 before it was a thing.
Yeah.
We have the
Uh-huh.
distinction of having the first uh, Black lesbian web series in Washington, D.C. ever.
God.
There was never one before us. We were the
What a
first.
what a time.
What a time. And you played the girlfriend of a queer man. So it was
Oh
very.
yes. P.S. And we still call each other exes. To this day. We still
You
I
he calls
Blair
you his
Blair
ex?
Blair is still my ex. Anytime we comment on each other's stuff. Still. Still.
I picked the most homosexual people I could find and say kiss like two Barbie dolls. We're gonna make you to a straight couple.
We
And
still
you
kissing.
kiss, kiss. And you took on the challenge just like Plastic Kid and Barbie. It was
Welcome here.
cute. And Blue Centric is so funny. People don't realize that Blue Centric is the name of my old production company.
Hmm.
I was just too lazy to start a
Yeah.
new page. People like, why Blue Centric? Oh, that's just my company that went bankrupt after 5 years.
Mm-mm. No, we were all movie stars back then.
We were all movie stars. Funny enough, you know, Ronnie, who did my last short film, is now on MTV.
Okay.
Yeah, Ronnie
Okay.
is a
Some
show
evolved.
called,
Things
I
evolved
think it's
from where we
called,
are.
what's it called? Help, I'm in a secret relationship.
This is-
So there's a
Oh,
show
okay.
called
Okay.
Help, I'm in a secret relationship. Ronnie Jones was one of the actors that I worked with at my production company. What's it? I'm thinking about Asha and Patience ended up going on tour with
Wow.
Erica Badu.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
my DP ended up working with Spike Lee. It was a look, a bitch has an eye for
And
talent. And then
it's
there's
not. It's not right. Exactly.
you, Dr. T.
Oh.
Today's gonna be fun because there's so much to talk about. The episode I changed the name to Let's Talk About Sex and Identity. Which
I
you
just
see it?
noticed that.
Let's talk about sex and identity. Because everything is political, especially sex.
I love it.
Especially sex. And
I love it.
I've known you for so long, Shanea, that today while I was in the bathroom, stress calling you like, you gonna come on? And I said, girl, and then I was like, wait, what are your pronouns? Share for the audience so that we are respectful. What are your pronouns?
Sure. I use he or she pronouns. I do not use they. In all its fails, please use doctor.
So Dr. Thomas is a he or she, but not a they.
Not a they.
And I was talking to someone actually a couple of days ago, and they said to me, because you identify as non-binary, is that correct? I want to make
Yes.
sure I'm getting. A friend of mine said to me the other day something about somebody who was non-binary but looked very femme.
Hmm.
And I said to them, I'm not non-binary, although my baby pictures would make you think I am. I know you've seen that infamous baby picture where I look butch as hell. I'll share that one day. I'm not non-binary, but I always find myself wondering, why do people act as if non-binary people owe them androgyny? It's almost like if
Understand?
you know what I mean. It's almost like if you're non-binary, you have to look like a he/she. Like you can't look too femme or look too masculine because then they're like, "Why are you playing in my face?" What is that about that people think that you have to be androgynous to be non-binary?
Because you still need a box, right? Like you still
Yeah.
need a place to put folks. And even when you're talking about androgyny, what are we talking about, right? Who are we talking about?
Yeah.
Because usually when we're talking about androgyny, I will also say that we're talking about white folks, right? We're talking about this removal, this completely removal, or this wash sense of lack of gender, lack of binary, and that's not all of what it's about. I think for me as a non-binary person, this is me. You have to do that nowadays. For
I'm
me,
talking by myself because it's
for
my mouth.
me,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
if gender is a construct, which I 100% believe, that is not something that I want to root myself or place my foundation in terms of my being, right? Like, I don't look to colonial, colonized ways of experiencing life on all
Mm-hmm.
sorts of levels, right? Whether it's talking about my motherhood, whether it's talking about how I do my work, whether it's talking about me, I don't look toward those things for a definition of who I am. So for me, gender is on the outside of that. I don't want to. I have a friend that calls it like I'm not interested in participating in gender. It doesn't do anything for me. I do use it as a tool, though, right? I know when to use it, and I know when not to use it. I know when other people are using it for me and using it towards me in various different spaces. But I think that we're just so used to, well, if you're not a man, beard, deep voice, and you're not a woman, long hair, long nails, then you have to be something that I can't necessarily place a label on. And that's gender expression, right? Like, that's not
Yeah.
gender. So it's also just like we're missing definitions. We're missing a lot of education that's getting us very confused.
I also think that the non-binary conversation and the conversation around gender identity, even including androgyny, we don't want to admit this, but there's a certain level of gender bending that all people universally find attractive, whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
When a man sees
Yeah.
a woman in a suit and he gets a little boner,
Hmm.
like, ooh, you look good.
I just went on a date with a man the other
Mhm.
day, and I
I can
gave
say
him
that you're
flowers.
ashamed. I went on a date with a man. I know, ill. Yeah,
But
I've been doing that.
man.
Mhm.
But I went on a date and I bought him flowers, and he was like,
I've done that before. They freak out.
they freak out. I love pulling chairs out for guys. Like, for me, it's not just about how you look. Like, how I show up in spaces, I definitely do. I don't identify on either ends of the spectrum. And I guess some of the unfortunate thing for me is I want people to treat me that way, right? Like,
Yeah.
because I am not masculine enough, right? Like, because I'm sitting here, even though I have like a trucker hat and Vanessa Myricks makeup on, people are still going to treat me as a woman, right? Every
Yeah.
time. But I never get the level of respect or the ability to be seen in a way that men get. And not that I want to be a man, right? And it's not that I want to take up space in some ways where women exist in. I have to think about, like, when I move, I don't use those dynamics at all when I show up. I'm conscious about them, but I don't use them at all.
You know what's so interesting is that when people say that they're non-binary as a choice, it's incredibly empowering when they choose it, right? And this is the conversation around it's not what you do, it's why and how you're doing it. So when being
Mm-hmm.
non-binary is a choice, it's incredibly empowering. And I strongly believe that masculinity, the version of masculinity that makes me nervous is when it's thrust upon Black women. Society likes to make Black women feel as if just the act of being a Black woman makes you less woman. And when masculinity is thrust on us in that way, where it's not of our choosing, it feels very different and it doesn't feel empowering after all. It feels like we're being shrunken and that our femininity is being questioned without our consent.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can be tricky because even as I'm hearing you talk about buying a man flowers, because I've done that before, I also immediately thought to myself, I come from a family of Caribbean and Latin American matriarchs who, objectively speaking, are the man of the house. And a lot of us do. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us were raised in households where the woman was the man, whether she wanted to be or not.
There's a
And
primary role, right? Yeah.
exactly, and had the responsibility of masculinity, but none of the respect of masculinity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have to bring home the bacon and fry it in a pan, but still give you the big piece and serve you afterwards, right? So you get to be treated like a daffodil because I'm doing all the work, but you are still the one who's getting all the respect after I've done all the labor.
and you get the
And
person
it's
who
all
has been in
it's
that
why
situation,
that
and you
tricky as a
you
black
get you
woman.
get you also get the ability to move in and out of that space, right? Like even when I think about like motherhood and fatherhood, like even in that example that you gave of just like I gotta work, bring home the bacon, and I gotta cook it, and you get the big piece, but also like when I'm sick, I don't get a day off.
No.
When you are sick or you don't want to do your responsibilities or you need to tap out, you're able to leave and you're still able to still hold your title, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
still able to be a man, right? We never. I also just like to add in there of just like, and there's also this level of fluidity that actually should not be, but also, but yeah.
It's like you trust our strength and you're not willing to honor it. You know that you can rely on us, and yet still we don't always get honored or valued or protected in the way that trust would obviously tell you to treat us. And for me, it's been tricky because when I first realized I was pansexual, I went through a phase where I was like, "Am I butch?" Because I'm very assertive, and I was like, "No, I'm not butch. I'm not butch. I'm not taking out nothing. Like I'm not. I'm just not. Right? I'm very soft. God gave me a sharp tongue to make up for how soft I am every other facet, right? I'm not butch at all. And then I was like, oh, am I bi? But then I started dating people who would I dated somebody who transitioned to trans and didn't care. So for
Hmm.
those who say, Blue, why don't you call yourself bisexual? It's because to me, bisexual in some way, a lot of bisexual people are very proud of clinging to the binary in a way that I'm not. And so for me, I was like, what do you call it when you date men, women, and whatever the fuck is in between or outside of, right? Like, what do you call if you don't actually care what people call themselves?
Right.
Because a lot of bisexual people were very proud of when I'm with a man, he got to be a man. And when I'm with a woman, she got to be a woman. And I was like, I don't really care
Oof,
about any of that.
crazy.
If you sexy, we gonna hunch, right? Like, and I was like, what's that word? And somebody was like, Blue, that's pansexual. That's a little bit more. It's almost like pansexual is the more radical progressive version that how I ingested it. That pansexual felt like a bisexual person panning out a little bit more into the freak, a little bit more,
Okay, okay, panning out.
right? The
Okay.
pans. Oh my god, you saw that? Look at it. I'm clever even when I don't realize it. And so for me, it was like, no, even the bisexuals seem a little bit more conservative than me. I've been doing some freaky shit. And so I was like, I think I'm pan. And then I got to the pan people. I was like, oh, some of y'all freakier than me. Yeah, let's stop here. I'm good. Okay, let's.
Let's stop here. See,
Here's the
and
thing. This is people say sexuality is a spectrum. Pan people in my eyes are not even on the spectrum. We're in a hot air balloon looking down like who all cute down there. Like I don't even think
that one. Let's pick that one. Pick that one right
on the
there.
road. I like that one. Like it's very interesting. What is the difference between non-binary and trans though? That's the place where I still buffer a little bit if I have to be honest.
Well, that depends on who you talk to, right? Like I think, and I really I enjoy the conversations that are happening now around who non-binary folks are, how they show up, whatever. From my understanding, I am a non-binary person that I don't necessarily identify as trans. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'll explain why in a second. But within the transgender is an umbrella, right? Transgender is a spectrum. So you have different types of understanding of how people see themselves and how people relate to what's happening in the world. That to me is
Okay.
how I identify, particularly of transgender. Of there's an experience that I am having within my body, and an experience that I'm having within the world. And so within that lies many different people. Some people identify as transsexual, some people identify as transgender, some people identify as genderqueer. You do have
Mm.
a section of folks that identify as non-binary. So when you're talking about the non-binary folks, so when you're talking about transgender, within that, you also have people who do identify within the binary, right? So you do have trans women. You do have trans men. You do have some people who are just like, I actually don't necessarily want to identify on either end of the spectrum. And so I just identify as genderqueer or I identify as non binary. Now, non binary folks I have seen that non binary folks do identify maybe not necessarily with the binary, but with an experience. So I do know some people
Mm.
who are like non binary women, right? Who are like, I'm non-binary the way I show up, but I identify as a woman because that is more
Oh,
attached to my culture, how I grew up. And so I see that a lot with particularly Black women. I am a non-binary Black woman. I'm a person that shows up as non-binary, but the way that I see myself, how I relate to the world, how people relate to me is really in the legacy or the essence or the thread of being a Black woman. I
I
get
can see
that.
why Black womanhood should be its own gender because it's a very specific experience.
And some people would argue that you are right. So
It's a
that
very
could be
specific
also
experience.
that can be an umbrella too.
Yeah.
That is fine as well. And so for me, what I have seen is that as a non-binary person, when I show up in trans spaces, when I show up and there's primarily, particularly trans folks who are in the binary, there is a particular place that I do not have in that group.
Mm.
And some of it is due to my appearance. I again do not have I don't have a level of androgyny that I hold all the time.
Yeah.
Some of it is also like I'm a mom, so and I birthed my child. So some of it is also just like sometimes when people are just like, I see you with your kid, you're automatically a woman. So that also takes a little bit away
I'm
from my
actually about
ability
that.
to be in that space.
How does motherhood inform you being non-binary? Because you're non-binary and you're a mother. Does that word
Yes.
make you bristle at all, or do you embrace the word mother?
For me, I think that mother is a gender. So for me, when I talk
Wow,
about
mother is a
being a
gender.
mom, yes. So when I talk about being a
Wow.
mom, when I talk about being a mother, there is a certain essence. That is where my foundation is, right? My foundation
Mhm.
is in care. And it's not because I'm caring for this little being. I have always cared about people all my life. And maybe that's the legacy of like being raised as a Black woman or being raised in girlhood, right? Where I have always cared, been caring. I'm a social worker. Like there are ways that I deeply want my community to be a part of who I am. And so I think of mothering and motherhood, and I think that anybody can be a mother, right? I'm writing a book right now on mother as a gender, and a lot of my teachings of
That's
who
a
I
beautiful topic. Mother as a gender. Oh,
Mother as a gender, and it talks about like my coming of age as like a non-binary queer woman, a non-binary queer person in DC, and thinking about like all the people who taught me how to be queer were Black queer men, Black gay men who were like within the HIV scene, who were like, all the folks that were like folks like you all taught me how to be a person, how to
yeah.
show up for certain levels of community, and how I understand my gender. And so I transfer that care not only into my community, into my work, but also into my child. And so that has also expanded the way that I think about parenthood. I was always going to be a mom, but I did want my child to pick who their dad was. I wanted my child to be able to pick who their village folks were. I didn't just think that my biological family were just my family. I think of you, I think of this my little cohort of village folks. We all pitch in.
So I
We
said,
all
wouldn't
pitch
that fall under women, as
in.
women are cultured to be caretakers?
But why? But in our
Hmm.
essence of being who we are, especially in thinking about the lineage of queer folks, caretakers haven't always been women,
Yeah, they
right?
have.
Caretakers have been queer men. They have been non-binary folks. There have been trans folks. They have been the folks who aren't always in the binary of how we see folks come about.
And it also
So no,
absolves men in a way that makes me uncomfortable. I wish we would stop thinking just because women are socialized to be matriarchs and caretakers in that kind of traditional way, that men don't have to still tap into that energy in themselves. Because when we say that's our
right.
superpower, we're almost absolving them from having to tap into it in themselves. I want a man who can tap into his inner caretaker and still be a man if that's what he chooses to be, right? Like I
When
want him to navigate both.
when that baby popped out my cooch,
Ooh,
I knew just as much about caring for a baby as the person who was with me, right? Like we all
yeah,
knew nothing. We
yeah.
all knew absolutely nothing. So we had to start that journey together. So yeah, and I also tell women all the time, people who identify as cisgender women, don't have kids if you don't want to. Please don't.
That part.
They're expensive. It's summertime. I gotta keep feeding my child fruit all the time.
They
It's
talk
time.
back.
They talk back. They calling me bruh. It's a lot going on. Do y'all see what's going on in the government right now? We are living in fascism.
Yeah.
So there's a lot happening right now. So I also give the essence to women of just like that. And that's why I say mother is a gender and not necessarily women. Being a woman is a gender, right? But being a mother can be open to anybody who wants to root themselves in love and care, particularly in their community or the people who are around them. And that's how I define it.
I think the perfect example of that for anybody who's still grappling with this and saying, Blue, this is giving me advanced placement gay. Like, what's happening right now? Because I can see some people are going to watch this video and be like, oh, this is advanced.
101.
Yeah, this is the other side of the rainbow in Soho House, right? For me, if you want to understand how mother can be a gender, watch Paris is Burning.
Yes.
You will not tell me any of those mothers who were assigned male at birth are not like every mother and auntie we know. If you watch Paris is Burning, you very quickly understand in a house structure how somebody who was born male could still very much remind you of every mother you've ever known and loved. My brain went to the ballroom scene as soon as you said it, and it made me understand it. And I hope, if possible, you infuse some of that in the book, because I think ballroom is such a visceral example of mothers being of all denominations.
Yeah, so that's like the crux of my book. That's like the found, because it's just like that's how I learned about being a mother. Like, it's just like, now my family is very Southern Baptist, right? Where it's just like there is a mother, that there's a particular archetype of mother that I got from there, but it really was not until DC 21 years ago to where there were Black and brown queer men who were like, and because I worked, particularly as a social worker in HIV scene, like those were folks who were just like, no, who are you? Yeah. Oh, you're worried about coming out, but you haven't came out to us yet. Like, those were the first people I told I was gay. Like, those were the first people who told me where to go to party. Like, those were the people who mothered me into being who I was. So yeah, this book has been definitely a journey for me. It definitely has opened a lot of wounds I didn't think were there, giving definitions to feelings that I didn't think I had. But yeah, I see ballroom as like who, the aggressives, like all those movies, like they were just a part of how I grew up. I grew up getting on the Chinatown bus, going to New York to party. That is where I learned how to be queer from.
What's so interesting about queer men? A lot of queer men confess to me that their blueprint was their mothers and their aunts. So it's almost like straight Black and brown women, those who have their backs when they're hiding from their fathers, or a lot of times there's a queer man will tell you a story of my daddy didn't whatever, but my mother shielded me, or my auntie shielded me, or my mother's best friend shielded me. There's often a story about a woman that showed them what being mothered in the purest, most non-judgmental way was, and then when they were coming into their own femhood, found themselves using that woman as a blueprint, and then ironically then end up mothering other people who are assigned female at birth, and it becomes like this full circle of the love is contagious.
What a legacy!
Yeah, the love is contagious.
Right? What a legacy to leave.
You're acting like your grandma, but then now Dr. Thomas is like, "Hey, can I get a hug?" And it's just like, "Oh, look at us,
look at us."
Here's the part where that was very wholesome. Let's get to the less wholesome part, the hunching.
Okay, the hunching.
I wanted to do a little wholesome education. I'm nasty. I want you to be comfortable before we got to the sexy shit. You know how I am, friend. You know me too fucking long.
Okay, let's get nasty.
2008. Dr. Thomas, I'm being nice and saying Dr. Thomas, this is Shanea to me. Okay. Shanea's known me since 2008 when I was getting it in and running the streets and having house parties. My house parties were legendary.
Yes.
I'm gonna just pause. Okay. So let's talk about
Lord.
When you try to fuck on somebody, how do you navigate? Like, Dr. Tom, why are you acting like we just met, friend? I gave you your time to
I don't know all these people. Go ahead.
I gave you time to do the doctor stuff. Now we're gonna act like you and I are still friends in real life. Okay, we don't do. Look, I'm humanizing you. When it's time to fudge, it's time to get it in, right? How do you? First of all, how are you attracted to people? Are you attracted to a certain kind of person? Like, what does that profile look of what you're sexually attracted to? Because even though I'm pansexual, I will be honest, and I don't care how problematic it sounds, it's still my truth. Cancel me if you want. I wasn't subscribed anyways. I'm only attracted sexually to masculine energy.
Okay.
Wherever I find it, bitch. Like, I don't care. Like, if it's a masculine trans man, a masculine cis man, a nice soft stud with pretty titties, I like masculine energy.
Okay.
So anything feminine gets friend zone on sight unless it's a very masculine man tapping into it as icing. So for me, I can be honest that I'm sexually aroused by masculinity because I'm such a powerful entity. It feels good to be little spoon. I like seeing someone else do the thing that I know I can excel at, but I don't have to. Right? I enjoy acquiescing in a way that I normally don't get to, and it arouses me deeply. I get a lady boner. Okay, masculinity turns me on. So when I tell people I'm pansexual, and then my homegirl's like, "Ooh, girl, you ain't gotta worry about shit. You are worrying here. About you, bitch. I am not checking for you, right?" So if you just like Sierra from the Like a Boy video, I got a little turned on. Ain't never been attracted to Sierra since. So I like masculinity. That's my truth. You see how I'm being greasy about it?
Okay, so you want me to okay, even exchange.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So so maybe this is helpful for the whoever's watching out there. So I again non-binary, right? So when I'm coming in to when I'm looking for people to be intimate with, hunch on, rub my genitals on. Y'all know what my genitals are, right? Rubbing my genitals on people. I am free market, right? We're using all of them because God gave it to us, right?
Right.
So and so with that, the way that I partner with people at this point, I think I have almost gone through the whole spectrum of folks so far.
I know I have.
But I am with you. Masculinity does it for me every time, and it doesn't matter where it doesn't matter where it comes from. So for me, it's also like if you show up as feminine, you got a little edge to you. You kind of count too. If you a gay man, you come up, you got a little, I'm fine with that.
I want to be swallowed. I want to be swallowed up.
Okay. You want to be swallowed up. So for me, that also means that whatever energy that you're bringing, you have to be okay with mine, right? Like you can't be. I'm okay with dating men, but you got to be okay with letting go of some of these gender roles. You got to be okay with I like eating ass. You got to be okay with X, Y, and Z, right?
Wait. Did that just happen? Okay, I think it's my fault. I did this to you because we got to.
You were right.
We got to ass eating very quickly, doctor. I didn't look what I did. It's my fault. No, it's okay. It's okay. I made it safe. I just heard that. Wait, did Dr. Thomas just say eat ass? Yes. Okay, that's my fault. Go for it. Yes.
So it's just like I just know when you come to me, there are also things that I like to do. I also like being big spoon. I have big spoon men before. I like being little spoon sometimes. I like topping. There are things that I like. Eating bootsy. Okay. That is where attraction comes to me. Can we negotiate? Can we get to a place where we have a gentle compromise around how I like to show up and how I like to be seen and how you like to show up and how you like to be seen? Now, it's never if somebody comes to me and like, well, like my ass eat. Okay, well, X. Like, it's not that. It's are you open to a conversation about letting go of some of these roles? And some of the roles include I might want to pay every now and then. Yeah. Some of that I might want to show up with flowers.
A Taurus, anything, forget gender identity. Taurus is like to trick on people. If we like you, we kind of want to trick on you a little bit. Just buy you a little short set. Just just this cute. It's a Taurus thing. It's not even about gender identity.
That's something I like.
Yeah, we like to trick on you. Can I make a confession, Shanea? Can I make a confession? Because as you were talking, I just had an epiphany. I did a whole live. You haven't watched it yet about my experience dating a male baddie. It went very poorly.
Yes, male baddie.
Yeah, male baddies are a thing.
Yeah, they can't be baddies.
They want to get food out and everything. I am realizing, as someone who lived in DC for a very long time and who was proudly pansexual and then entered a phase in my life where I was like, I need a little bit more dick. I'm gonna be clear. I just I got to LA. I was like, I would like more dick. I've done a lot of other stuff and I would just like more penetration in my life. When I started prioritizing cis het men again, when I moved to LA, in a way that I hadn't in several years, it has stunned me as a woman who is incredibly attracted to masculine energy and pansexual, that cis het men in 2025 are more femme than lesbians. There's a level of feminine energy that I'm not attracted to, that I find more in straight Black men than I find in actual gay people that is fucking with me.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, the baddies got me fucked up.
Let's quantify this.
Let's talk
So,
about it.
when you say that, because men can have feminine energy
Oh, no.
if they were like, right, we want that. But also, what does that mean to you?
I'm going to unpack it, because the femme energy that I'm talking about that I find triggering is what I call male baddies. What happens is there's a certain subsect of men who have realized they can't keep up with how the world is evolving, right? With the new pronouns, with the new mores, the new rules, the non-traditional / traditional. Because I will admit there are women in this world who say they want a traditional relationship, but nothing else about them in their lives are traditional. And some of these men are confused, and I can understand why, because it's a nuanced dance, and not everybody can spell nuance, right? There's been a counterculture in response to this headache that these men feel, where rather than get the therapy to learn how to evolve and learn the new language, they've instead flattened the feminine experience of soft girls and said, oh, y'all want to play the soft girl game and want us to be traditional men? Then, well, in my mind, a soft girl is someone who doesn't take accountability, who's a bad bitch, who wants to get flued out, who wants people to pay for their meals, who wants somebody to pay for their hair and everything done. They flattened that experience, and they've conflated soft womanhood with a lack of accountability and just being selfish. And their response has been to ingest the satirical version of womanhood that they think that we're doing. They're looking at the most toxic love and hip hop women that they've ever seen, who they resent because they can't pull them, and decided to emulate them. And so now when you meet a woman like me who's healthy and whole and was never like that to begin with, I'm now running across straight men who think they're besting me and reflecting back something at me that actually was never made to begin with, and that I would have called out to my sisters as well. So the baddie, men used to resent baddies, now they want to be them. And that to me is not attractive, because I don't like it in anybody, male or female.
Yeah. So these are straight shenanigans that's happening. I don't have contact with the straight shenanigans, but that sounds like a mess.
Wait, not you said, well, I don't have these kind of straight people problems. Thank you, friend.
I don't, but outside looking in, that's a mess.
Imagine having somebody who has all the masculine fragility of a man, but wants all the baddie treatment of your most toxic female friend simultaneously in one body. It's the worst of both worlds all at once. I'm getting the worst of both worlds trying to date cishet Black men right now.
Okay, what's happening within the community to undo this? It sounds like a mess. What are we doing?
It's our version of it.
I mean, for that is what that sounds like. We're just not calling it that because of
it's incel culture.
Who the people is, right? Yeah. That's unfortunate.
It's blowing my mind that I have never been around more feminine energy than since I started dating straight men again. More toxic feminine energy. You would think that this would happen when I was dating women. No, the most toxically feminine people I've ever met currently are straight men. And it's so funny. There's a meme going around saying the messiest bitch you know is a dude.
Oh, I mean, that's true.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wait a minute.
And the counterbalance to that is, though, I'm surrounded by good men platonically, simply because I need to remind myself they exist, because I don't want to become embittered by my dating life. So I have amazing, healthy, masculine energy platonically in my life. And though, a part of me wonders, though, is that because we're not dating? Because, people can hide their sins everywhere but in their love lives. You can be a good guy at work. You can be a good guy with your family. You can be a good guy everywhere where else. But how you date tends to reveal where the skeletons are hiding. Has that been your experience? And what's been your experience dating straight men? Have you dated straight men lately?
Yes. Yes. And there is a very high ceiling. Very, very high ceiling. And in fact, I had a man ask me.
Somebody has a question for you, Shanea. Shanea, please tell us where you're finding a straight man. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
You look like this is foreign to you, so you must be finding a different kind that none of us have found. Go ahead. Where are you finding them?
Hey, Melody. Yes. So I do not go on straight apps. Maybe I don't go on apps where primarily the men are looking for women. Because again, I'm not a woman. So I go to apps that have a little bit more free range around how people identify and how people show up and who they're attracted to.
What are
So
these
I
apps?
will say, so Field, I don't know if people are familiar with Field, FEELD, Field. So
Oh,
Field is more of an app for kink, people who are looking for different
yeah, I'm gonna pick
activities.
apps.
Those folks are a little bit more wide range
Mm-hmm.
in terms of their attractions, what they're into, then I will say Tinder, X, Y, and Z. I have found, and so from there, I feel like people read bios a little bit better. I feel like people are willing to have more conversations about what they're into. I'm into different shit, right? So it's just like, not only am I queer, like I'm also kinky, like there are other things that I'm
I was
into.
about to say,
So it's
and
just
the
like, I
previous.
need, there are multiple different things that I need for people to show up. So I would say this one person I went on a date with last week.
Last
Really nice
week, oh,
guy.
some breaking news. Okay.
It was really fresh. Went out with last week. Very nice guy. And the way that and in my profile pictures, they are in they're pretty, like some are more probably feminine, but a lot of them are like, I'm in a suit, like they're
You
a
have a
little bit
very
more
feminine body,
androgynous.
Shanea.
Yes. Well,
Shanea got a body, y'all. Y'all can't see it.
I mean, I ain't got it. Now I ain't got it, but
Shanea got body parts.
I'm
Okay,
also
yes.
like, but I'm in a suit. Like there are some pictures I'm in a straight suit. So for me, if you're looking at me and you're attracted to me, it's not because you're looking at my booty. It's because you curious about other things. So the conversation I had with this particular person was, he said, I'm attracted, he said, you're attracted, da, 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 but just asking a question, I am attracted to people who have certain body parts. Is it okay if we are able to have a conversation if we're compatible? So once he found I had a coach, we were on and popping from then. But I also said, yes, I identify as such, but I please do not call me lady. I do not identify woman. I kind of steer away from gender roles. Like these are the things that now some things are negotiable to me depending on trust, but I'm just telling you up front, like, please do not call me a woman. Do not treat me as such. And it's been cool from there. Other guys, they don't care. They're just like, all right, cool, nigga. And we just
I
keep
mean, my
it moving,
ass.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we just keep it moving.
I
So
love
I will say, again, Hinge, I've met people on Hinge, but I'm also not a lesbian. I feel like I do meet a lot of femme women who are lesbians on there, and I do not date lesbians.
How do you, so
Ma-
you don't call yourself lesbian? How do you identify as far as your attraction style?
I identify as queer.
Queer.
And queer in the sense of, yes, yeah, queer in the
Also,
sense of
so you're
just
just in
like
the margins entirely. So you're like,
I'm just
I
in
am a non-binary queer human.
I'm a very queer human who's a mother.
Yeah. Who's a
Because that is
mother?
also who's also, yeah, because I also got to add that into, because it's just like, yeah, if you want to come, rub your genitals against me, that's cool, but just know that it's only going to be between certain hours because I need childcare.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Okay.
this
You also got to know that my energy also goes to
mother.
buying fruit because I got to keep a human alive. Yeah.
You know what's so funny? I think I'm leaning. I've been so deviant. You've known me during my deviant years. You've bared witness to those years. I'm in a space now where, for me, partnership. I've been part of a commune for so long. We had a commune in DC, right? Everybody came over the house. It was always people in and out my house. I've been the mother of a commune or a part of a commune for so long. I kind of want to, and I think it's because my mother got sick, and she's in her late 70s and has kidney failure. I want to introduce my mother to my husband and my child, if that's possible.
Mhm.
And that's a visceral, tribal, ancestral DNA conservative thing that I am shocked lived inside me and was not tapped into until she almost died. And I was like, oh, I want my mother to know I'll be okay.
Mm.
And I have a nuclear family in a way that I had never even thought about wanting before this. And it was kind of tricky giving myself permission as someone who's known as a sexual deviant to admit that I wanted something so vanilla.
Mm.
Right? The queen of the kink parties. I went to a sex party and they mistook me as the host. That was just, and the actual host came over and said, "Thank you, bitch. I didn't know how to get everybody off there." I was like, "Oh, my bad, girl. I was just too comfortable." So to go from that to being like, "I would like a husband and a baby," and like it's so weird to me. To like the old me would be judging this version of me, and so it was tricky giving myself permission to admit
Mm.
that a little bit of something conservative and normal and vanilla had like seeped its way into my spirit.
Right. But can that also be because it's your choice and because it's what you want? Like, does that have to be vanilla? Right?
That's
Like,
the
you want
conversation I
that.
had that gave me permission. It
Yeah.
was that conversation. It was like, bitch, if you want it, you want it. We don't do shame
You
over here.
want it. Yeah. Yeah. It's just
I
you
think
want it.
18-year-old me is disappointed that we landed. Like, we took all them detours just for you to land here, bitch. We could have just, we took
10
all them
years ago,
sexual
10 years
deviant
ago, I was
detours.
hanging from a ceiling with some rope, and today we're talking about husband and kids. It's just yes.
Right. You used to be at play parties holding court, and now you want a child and a straight man. Like, what the fuck happened to us? I feel like me in 2010 when we were like, would be like, girl, how we end up here? And it's so funny too, because I think for me it comes down to legacy, right? And that's why the mother is a gender thing speaks to me. A part of me just wants to continue whatever it is that I have going on. I want to pass that on.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
thing about tricky about. I've always thought the best compliment you could give somebody is that you're a beautiful human. And so I
Mm.
spent all these years being able to feel like I've evolved into a beautiful human. And that's made me want to make another human all of a sudden.
Mm.
Right? You're like,
Okay.
oh, the world could use more of whatever the fuck I worked so hard and paid so many therapists to finally become. I would like to pass
Like to
this
pass
shit
that
on.
on.
How did it feel when you
Okay.
decided that you wanted to be a mother? Like, what was that moment for you? Because I feel like I'm at that precipice now and watching what Bridget's going through. And it's so beautiful that Bridget is having this medical emergency, and then your name is the first thing I hear, like a thunderclap. Isn't that? And
Um,
now we're talking about, and I didn't even know your book was about this. So it's like, yeah, my spirit guides chose you today, friend.
yeah, first to your friend, like much love and healing energy to her. My first pregnancy was a miscarriage, in that it stays with you. So I also, whatever she chooses after this, however she chooses, I hope if anything she gets to center herself and take care of herself.
Yeah.
For me, like when did I choose? In this on this side, say 7 years later, a lot of it was influence from my family. It wasn't. I think
Wow.
doing things in. I think doing things in like when you don't have them and you're like, yeah, I want to have a kid. I'm going to name him this. I'm going to do this. Like, there's a big difference between that and then there's just like, oh, I felt like I had to do this. Like there was like
Mm.
this has always been talked about. Like I was 12 years old and my grandma was like, you better get up out that bed. It's 12 o'clock. You need to get ready and fold your clothes and do this so you can get ready for
I
your
mean, the
husband. Like
Black South thinks
I've
it's
been trained
that's
to
the big
have a
deal.
husband since I've been 8 years old.
Mhm.
Right? Like
I
that.
know.
Like you're always taught like you need to improve, be better, learn these skills for your man, right? For
Yep.
your kids, for your family. So I don't think that that has ever necessarily left me. And I am the rebellious. I have a younger brother, but I was getting all the degrees and going through all the things, and I told myself I'm going to wait until I'm halfway through my PhD program before I think about having a kid. Like that's where my head was. And my
Mhm.
mom had got to a place where she was just like, I'm just giving up. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Just it's fine.
I got that
She's
speech last week. I got that speech last week, friend.
dramatic, right? And of course, they don't think about how that makes us feel. They don't think about how that makes us feel, right? That makes
Like
you feel
absolute shit. Like,
ashamed.
oh, so I
That makes you feel
failed. Thank you.
I have 4 degrees, mom. Like what more? But for her family and what things mean, it's about legacy. It's about what you pass on. It's about having you have more kids. That's success. It's not about
Yeah.
degrees. So I was at a place to where I could. Like I was just like, all right, and it was more about how we make this work. My baby's a donor baby, so it was about when I
Is that
first
expensive?
tried.
Is sperm expensive? Not to be graphic, but is that
Sperm's
expensive?
expensive. Sperm's expensive. Depending on what sperm you
Because
get.
they be
Now,
giving
are
it away in
you,
the streets, but it's expensive when you actually want it. That's some bullshit.
girl? Bring me back, okay? That could be a whole other.
Yeah.
That's a whole other
So
conversation.
sperm is
But
expensive when I want it, but you just be throwing it at me when I don't. That's some bullshit.
then you gotta pick it. Yeah, it depends on who it looks. That's a whole other
But
conversation.
your baby
But
looks just like you. Like you spit out a copy and paste. Did you pick
that
somebody who
was
looked like you on purpose?
that was intentional because I wanted my child to look at me and my family and say I belong to them.
But Shanae, it's a little obscene. Like it literally looks like you just shrunk yourself.
Yeah. If I send you I'll send you the baby picture. I don't think I can post it
Like the
online, but
first time I saw a
yeah,
baby,
the
I was
person
like, we
looks
don't
just
need
like her.
Maury. We do not need
Yeah.
Maury.
No. That's the
Well,
joy
we
of it.
be
Yeah.
lesbians be trying to find random Puerto Ricans, and then they be holding like little white babies. So it was just nice. Can we look at me when I tell the truth, friend?
Oh no.
Okay, y'all be looking for the random Puerto Rican babies, and knowing that you don't have no Latino, Afro, or otherwise in your family, and now here's okay. Just want to know Keisha and them be having them white ass babies, and I'm not judging it. I'm recognizing patterns.
It was important for me
I want a chocolate
to
baby. I
have
want
a
a
baby who looks back at their lineage and says, those people are mine. That was important to me.
That's political.
That's political,
That's very
okay?
political.
Yeah. And to choose a dark skin, you know, that's political. And that was my choice. And I knew that there were going to be I know there are uphill battles around that because I am a dark skinned person. But
Yeah.
also it's important for my baby to look like me and my family. So yeah. Is black sperm cheaper? Like a don't ask me, black babies are cheaper.
Oh wow!
I, I mean, okay. So no,
Oh,
it's
black
more
sperm is not cheaper.
expensive. It's more expensive because there's less.
Oh, because it's
There's
rare.
less. So you can pick like there's plenty of white sperm on these apps to go around. Like
Oh
there's
yeah, they do.
plenty.
Yeah.
But if you talk about if you're talking about black sperm, if you're talking about black sperm that has sperm that came from people who have degrees,
Ooh.
sperm that came from people who don't have certain ailments, illnesses, certain backgrounds, X,
Ooh.
Y, and
So there
Z,
was three
the
niggas.
money
There was
goes
three
up.
niggas on
So
there.
yeah. So yeah, I 18.
Are you serious?
I had to choose
Out of all the hundreds, there was
out
18
of
black
a
men.
millions, black American folks. There were 18 out of the what I chose.
This is the Mandingo conversation because I'm always saying that there are several places where black men and black women are completely opposite ends of the spectrum. There's certain hierarchies where we're nowhere near each other, and desirability to me is the loudest one. When it comes to that desirability, the darker the berry, the closer you are to the top. They love them a chocolate, broad back buck of a nigga, right? And let's be honest, it goes back to plantation time. Like they want a big old Mandingo buck. You bring a big old black something. That's why Shannon Sharp knew exactly who to go to. You look like a big old buck, and they gonna come after you. If a black woman look like Shannon Sharp, ain't nobody checking for her. Can we be honest? It's almost like blackness is masculine. They see blackness as masculine, and so masculine blackness is desirable, but in women, all of a sudden it's less desirable because it's less feminine.
Yeah, there's a really good conversation happening, particularly amongst like the amongst black trans women around that. Like I think I read that somewhere last week where it's just like, yeah, when you think about how misogyny affects all of us, right? Like all these laws and things that they affect every single one of us, no matter how you identify. So this even argument around like who's trans, who's cis, and who can have babies and who can't, like the systems that do not care about none of those things, right? And we all trying to reach for this level of femininity that none of us are going to reach anyway because we're black, right? The archetype of that is white women. Like, so whatever you all are reaching for in terms of what is the epitome of whitehood and you look like me, it's not for you.
Shanea's like, do you hear me? If you black, they're not going to see you as feminine. You can be the most hyper feminine. Look at Love Island. Did you watch Love Island?
No, I didn't.
Okay, Shanea, there's this woman on Love Island that you would love, Olandria. Gorgeous chocolate black Barbie. Hands down, probably the most feminine human I have ever seen in any of the franchises. She was dark skinned and they kept buffering because they couldn't figure out how to turn her into a nigga. They wanted so badly to make her masculine that despite the fact that she was a Southern belle, gorgeous Southern belle, hyper feminine. And you could tell it was fucking with people. Because there wasn't enough of this. You know what I mean? There wasn't enough of the comfortable buffoonery that they assigned to that satirical version of black womanhood. And her being a gorgeous, dark-skinned Southern belle, at some point they had to concede. You know why? A white man fell in love with her on sight and didn't play about her.
Oh.
And he wouldn't let them bully her even when the other black men wanted to. She needed a sponsor.
You need a sponsor, right? You need somebody to vouch for you, right?
They wouldn't admit Olandria was who she always was until a cute white man co-signed. and said, nah, I don't play about her. And think
Yeah.
about the politics of that this white man was more willing to protect her than black men. And in my mind, I always say this, I don't clap extra hard when that happens because it's easy to be generous when you're on the winning team. You have it to give.
Yeah.
So I'm happy
You should be. You should be
doing
right?
this.
Bare
It's the
minimum.
least you can fucking do.
Bare minimum.
Right? So for me, yay, Nick, and yes. It's like somebody clapping for somebody raising their kid. Well, you kind of supposed to do this. This is what you do because you're the parent, right? So yay that the white man knew his role because that's what he's supposed to do if he claims to be a good person and an ally. And comma, because black men have their own stuff, they didn't have it to give. Yeah. And the one who didn't have it to give, because here's the thing about Ace, he's one of the people on the show. He's not anti-black. He's more misogynistic. But if I had to choose between a misogynist and an anti-black man, I'd rather choose misogyny over anti-blackness. Can I be honest?
They in there somewhere. It's, it's.
If I have to, because here's the thing, you're already a man, so the misogyny's already in there. But if you're a man who doesn't subscribe to anti-blackness, I feel like I can work with that, right?
Yeah, okay.
I can work with that, right? Okay. Because there was one man who was anti-black, and
that sounds like straight shenanigans. It's like more straight shenanigans.
It is, because there was Jeremiah, who was this nice guy who was emotionally intelligent. He went to therapy. He had a book club. He was so sweet, but he had a Nigerian mother and an Irish mom, and only like exotic girls, anti-black. And then there was a nigga who I don't even think he could spell therapy. Leo, very proudful. Stop playing with him, but he fucks with dark-skinned women heavy.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go with.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
I'm gonna have to go with Ace.
Choices, yeah.
Jeremiah and I had the same politics, like on the surface, but I will always choose a pro-black anything over an anti-black anything.
I trust that more.
You're the same way? You don't. Like I'd rather have a little bit of anti-blackness rather than misogyny. I was like, no, the black. I can't do no kind of anti-blackness, y'all. Even if you
I can't. It's gonna all come. Yeah, it's all gonna come for a circle. All the oppressions are. It's a circle. It's a circle. So
the fact that misogyny is better than anti-blackness. These are the kind of fucking negotiations we're having to make dating straight men.
I just see. I feel so bad.
It's hard out here, and I hope some straight men watch this. I hope straight men who date black women are watching this. Those of you who don't date us already think we suck. But like, I hope, because here's the thing. If you're a straight black man who likes a lot of women, black women included, and you happen to end up with somebody who's not black, I have no pain around that. It's the ones who are very intentional about anybody but us. Because one way you're running towards love, the other way you're running away from your community.
Yeah, no thank you.
No thank you. How do you pick within this kink queer dating space, also adding the thing about race, right? Because great, you could go in the kink community and find a man who is open sexually, who is non-homophobic, who's very open-minded and progressive, but how do you deal with the racial aspect in the midst of all that?
I don't date white people. Oh, and I don't date people who date white people.
Oh. Can you repeat that? Because my head just started buffering.
I don't date white people, and I don't date people who date white people.
Oh my God! And how did you come to this, Dr. Thomas? This conversation is getting good.
Because I don't want to go through that, which you just named. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to have to come home and explain my experience to somebody. Particularly people ask of just like, okay, so why not date other people who date white people? Especially because I am a person who is polyamorous. I have been in situations where I've dated black folks who have dated other white people, and each and every time, in some way, shape, or form, they have been chosen, picked over, something over me. And because of all the layers that I have about me, I'm not even going to put myself in a situation to where you're going to choose somebody over me. Like, not me. So no thanks. So you can have it. And there's plenty of people. I know people can get on me about like you're stopping your racial pool, and there's so many things that you could pick, and like I only want to pick people who want to be with me, and I want people to start shifting to that. Like, stop fighting for these people who aren't invested in who you are, aren't invested in your livelihood, who you are as a person, and you're begging for their attention. Like, I get it's hard out here, and We have choices. They might not all be 6'5", 250, dark skinned. He'll just
Wait, wait,
outlook
wait. Why
more
are you
like people
attacking
skin
me?
like.
How I get in it? How did I catch
No,
a stray?
they might not all look like that. They're out here. They have some of them are 5'7".
Oh, come on. I'm 5'9",
Some
Shanea.
some of them
I'm
are willing
5'9".
to. Some it's okay. Not everybody is going to be tall, y'all. And that is the thing. Okay, so can I talk about
I
this
just
real
want to know
quick?
how I caught a
So
stray on my own self.
as a person who you wanted all this, you wanted all the stuff. So as a
I
person
did.
who
I
dates
did.
everywhere, who dates all over, some of the men that I date are like they're my height or shorter. I am 5'4" and
How
three
tall are you?
quarters. I'm 5'4" and three quarters, 5'5" if you want to say. I'm 5'5". Some of them I date are my height shorter. The tallest people that I've dated, no, the tallest person I've dated is a man. But some of the tallest people I've dated have been other women. So when I talk to some of these other straight guys who are not the general aesthetic that people want them to be, they talk about they can't get dates, they can't be seen because of they don't have all of the delectable aspects that everybody has, right? They might be weird. They have a little bit of autism. They're
I
caretakers.
got a
They
little
have,
bit of autism.
they're what I'm saying? It's just we I would love to see people be open. I would love to have this is probably a whole other show. I would love to have a conversation about people dating queer folks and bisexual folks because people
Oh, you can come back.
refuse.
Shanae, you can make this a monthly check-in if you want to.
People refuse to
I
do
will say this
so.
though, Shanae. My father was 5'4". Rest in
Okay.
peace. My daddy was a little swaggy Cuban man with a lot of riz, was pulling bitches even though he was a little Polly Pocket. My
Mm-hmm.
first love was a 5'4" black
Mm.
Cuban, just like my daddy. So I was like, oh, clearly this is some father whatevers. I will say this. I've never
Okay.
dated men for height or money. And I decided to change that because little men and broke men can be mean.
Little men and broke men can be. Okay, I'll
I
trust
thought
that.
that I was being open-minded because my daddy was little, and so I dated a little man. My mother's always been the matriarchs in my family always paid the bills, so I was like, I'm open to a man who's on his come up because any man who dates me, they call me a lottery ticket because their money goes up because it's contagious whatever I got going on. So I was open to broke men and little men, and they were all mean. Because
Mm.
even though I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't judging them for being small and or broke, they were judging themselves and then taking it out on me.
Mm. Ah.
That's why
Mm.
for me,
Mm.
to me, EQ matters more than height.
I'm with that. Oh,
EQ,
okay. Okay.
if a
That is
short
your thing.
man has
Okay.
emotional intelligence, I'm safe. But there's nothing more dangerous than a man who hates himself and resents you for liking him more than he likes himself.
Okay. So what happens if you find a man that has the things, but he's just 5'6"?
Why do I keep on getting smaller? We started at 5'7".
I just
Girl,
want more. He was born this way. He was
you're
born this
stressing me out.
way.
No, it can't keep going down. Okay, God's still working on me. What the fuck? How we get to five?
Okay.
I was 5'6" when I was 11. You know,
I
I know
did
they
this.
got stretch
I did
marks.
this height since high school. So
I
my
was
brother is
5'6".
6'5", so I don't know. I have no.
So if he was my size at 11, we might need a new topic. I'm getting hot. I'm getting hot on my own self.
Listen. I got 7 minutes before I go get this kid.
I've never had another Taurus before. Maybe this is the problem. It's giving Spider-Man. Spider-Man, it's getting warm in here. Somebody said, wait, how tall is Blue? I am 5'9". And Dr. Thomas talking about, what if he's 4'11"?
Wait a minute. Okay, I didn't say
If
that,
you keep talking, you're gonna go there, friend. I see the pattern.
what happens if he's 4'11"?
Oh no, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Because now I'm worried for my kids. That's just genetic at that point. I'm worried about like what I'm
See,
passing on.
I'm tired of dating, giving a bit of a to brokies and unattractive. Now, I'm also not saying that people are short or
Oh, I ain't even doing
unattractive.
anybody else.
So
Nothing.
okay.
Yeah, no.
Just makes I'm not people who are
What's the
not
minimum
attracted
height, Blue? My minimum height. Okay, if we could be barefoot and look into each other's eyes.
to.
If I have to tilt, I know me. I'm an asshole. It's too many
Can't
jokes. If I have to tilt down to kiss my
none of
man,
that.
I'm gonna start kissing him on the forehead like he's my child. I know me. I got too much tism,
Okay.
and that's neurodivergence. Here's the thing, too. I'm differently abled. I know not everybody likes that term, but I do.
Okay.
I know the way my tism is set up. Imagine somebody with Tourette's dating somebody with a lazy eye. We already know. No, think about it. No, seriously. You see how you had a reaction? If somebody with Tourette's was to date somebody with a lazy eye, we already know somebody's calling the police because something's about to happen. This motherfucker's gonna say something crazy. The lazy eye's gonna start swinging, and now it's a DV. I know the way my tism is set up. If I have to lean down to kiss my man on the forehead, I'm gonna start calling him little man, little tink tink. How you doing? Like, I know me and my impulse control. So let's not do that. Do you see how my neurodivergence? It's more
Men who are not 5'9" or over do not apply. Just come over here.
Oh, now she there trying to steal the niggas. Wait a minute, you already found. You so greedy.
I'll take the little
You like
man.
the hamburger. Like, come on, little man. I'll take the little tink tink.
Man.
So when you say little tink tink, it's gonna sound different from me.
Is that right? Okay.
You right,
Okay.
little man, you good? You know what it is though? I've never been a height girl, but in the last year and a half, I've had so many tall Nigerian men. I like looking up. The first time I had to look, because I'm used to looking across. I have dated a lot of men my height. But when I first looked up, I was like, "Well, this feels good on my neck." I like tilting up. I've been tilting up for a year and a half now. I don't want to go back down.
Okay, that's fair.
But here's the thing, too, though. Statistically speaking, I know I'm shrinking my pool by doing that.
You are. Y'all are. It's wow.
The short kings, I gave you about 10 full years. You were all mean to me.
Come on, short king.
Shanea has met nice short kings. What would you say is what makes you want to have commitment? Because when people hear poly, and here's the thing, I want to do a whole conversation when you come back around poly versus avoidant. Because a lot of non-committal avoidants who need to be going to therapy are instead calling themselves poly and making their dysfunction sound sexy when it's really just you need to go talk to the lady. And I get very offended when people who are unhealed think that means they're poly. That's not what poly means. And that's somebody who was poly for a very long time. Even though I'm monogamous now, I take great offense to poly being shorthand for fuck shit, right? So I do want to have that conversation with you when you come back. Okay. How do you decide that you want to commit to someone?
I will say,
makes you feel like this is more than just a date or playtime. I actually want you to be my person in whatever iteration I'm available to have a person.
There's a level of consistency. There's a level of consistency. There is a understanding around how my other relationships work. So when I talk about being polyamorous, and I know there's like a controversy around this, but I include my kid because my kid takes up a lot of my time. So the time that I use to like nurture, develop this person, the time for my friends, the time for my family, the time for my work, like all of that takes time. So if you're willing to participate in, all of these things and still feel like, and I have an understanding for them, right? So it's not just about can you get with me, but can I also get with whatever dynamics that you have going on? How are we keeping our time sacred to each other? So even a person that's been seeing for a long time, like we don't see each other often, but our time is sacred. We don't talk to other people, so we're not texting other people. We have long weekends together. How long?
Yeah. He's still in the picture? Huh?
He's still there. Yeah, he's still around.
After all this, it's been like 5 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Shanea, he's still around?
Yeah.
Oh, friend, I didn't know. Oh my God. Why are you making that? Why are you blushing, friend?
I think it's time to go.
Because you like a boy. Shanea had a man this entire time, y'all.
Well, I know. Anyway, you talked about.
There was no sentence. It was just okay, you're just gonna make a buzzard noise and then stop talking. Shanea got
the way that I knew that this person was able to be in the fold of all the things is because we have a mutual understanding that our time together is sacred. And some people are not willing. Some people are just like very in and out. You have people who are just like, oh, I'll see you when I can, or whenever you're free. Like there's intentionality. That is the difference for me. If you are willing to make plans with me, to follow up, to send things, right, to find other ways that we can connect, like I'm willing to talk about what it looks like for you to be in the fold. But if you're just like loosey goosey and figure it out, I've just had people who are at my age. I'm 43. So at this age,
Don't
if
say
you are
43.
just
They freak out when they hear people are 43. I said 43 in the last live. They were like, 43?
43,
You
it's
don't
a
look 100. Yeah.
I'm 43 years old, and at this age, I am too grown for you to be loosey goosey about your time or loosey goosey about my life. I have things to do, so you either jump it on or jump off. And if I am not the one for you, there's plenty, right? Go find your other short king somewhere else. But that's how I
I
decide.
appreciate that. And you just reminded me the reason why I went back to monogamy is because being poly in a way that's safe requires high integrity. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that it was easier to just be monogamous because high
Amen.
integrity, for me to do it, I would need too much integrity. And I was having a hard time finding people who would have enough integrity for me to be poly any further. Shanea, I'm going to let you go because I know you have to go in 1 minute to go pick up your child. Guys, after Dr. Thomas leaves, I'm going to stay on for only 5 because somebody just posted that Jesse Wu starts in 15 minutes. You guys don't have to worry about us competing.
Oh,
I'm getting off in 5 minutes. So Shanea, thank you for coming. Please come back. And
okay.
next time
Okay.
we're going to get you for a full 2 hours like how we usually do it because the conversation just getting started. We could
Okay.
go
All right.
other
We
places,
gotta do.
okay? We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Text me. I
All
love
right.
you. I appreciate you so much, friend.
Love you too. Take care. Everybody take care. Be safe
Say bye
out
to
here,
Shanea,
y'all.
y'all.
Bye.
Oh, I love this. Now, guys, before I go, so that we can all run over to Jesse's live, I'm gonna be doing a lot of live. Somebody in here called me their favorite streamer, and this is the third time y'all have called me a streamer in like the last 2 weeks, which is funny because I didn't really understand what streaming was until the last 2 weeks. And for the person who said, Blue, you say you don't cry, but you've been crying the last 2 weeks, it's because Mercury retrograde. I announced at the beginning of July that I kept on feeling that this Mercury retrograde was going to have hands and feet, and I was correct. So I do not cry often, but I am a witch, and I'm very impacted by retrogrades because, guys, guess what signs are ruled by Mercury? Virgo and Gemini. Guess what signs make up 50% of my chart? Virgo and Gemini. Half of my chart is Virgo and Gemini. So Mercury retrogrades always deeply impact me because I'm ruled by Mercury. So these retrogrades, even if you think about the story about me and Icky, he and I met during a Mercury retrograde. He pissed me off and I scorched the earth this week during a Mercury retrograde. So that's why I've been so emotional. And I felt it coming because there's some retrogrades where I don't feel anything, but I felt it coming. But before we go, I would like you guys to quickly share in here so I could go back and watch. What are some topics that you would like me to cover, considering I will be going live more than once a week? I am debating going live 2 or 3 times a week. I'm going to give myself grace to do what feels natural. 2 times feels like it's the easiest to do. 3, if it's a week where a lot of crazy things are happening. I will always make sure that if I can to put a notice up like I did today, because I had a notice up since yesterday that I was going live this morning. Please subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that you can see when I'm going live. Because even though I plan to go live regularly, it's going to be at different times. And so if you don't have the notifications on, you're never going to know when I'm on, right? Somebody said plus size over 40 dating. I feel like me and Danielle already did that. Me and Danielle did that. It feels like we spent 2 hours a couple of days ago talk about that. Mercury got my yes. The show Hunting Wives. Oh God, that show stressed me out. Even though I'm very open to queer expression, it just felt like every time one of those ladies got stressed out, she would just start eating out her friend. They were just stress eating. That show stressed me out. Broken Hearts. I feel like Broken Hearts is what we just talked about all over the weekend. Let me see what other topics you guys have here. And I will say it is full circle, right? The way that last week I was talking about betrayal and dating and what I went through with a certain person. And then today I was supposed to talk about motherhood with Bridget. And I instead talked about motherhood and how unconventional motherhood can be with Shanea. So it feels like my spirit guides are my EPs. I feel like my spirit guides are producing this show, right? Blue Centric Live is being brought to you by my ancestors, apparently. Somebody says stress eating coochie. Yes, the show Hunting Wives is about a bunch of white women who just stress each coochie while life is happening. Laverne, you know what? I was just thinking about that. I think I'm gonna watch the Laverne Cox interview and perhaps do a live about whatever I see, because yeah, somebody said more EQ discussions. Guys, I do EQ so much. Everything I do is gonna have EQ in it. Like, that's just the seasoning salt that I sprinkle on everything. In professional settings, interesting. Narcissism. And someone said poly versus avoidant. I think the poly versus avoidant conversation would be great. Okay, I think the poly versus avoidant conversation, the Laverne Cox conversation. One thing I will be, somebody said they have a lot of Gemini and Virgo on their chart, so you already know my ailment. One thing I will be potentially doing a live on tomorrow is about Miguel and Leah, because I have strong feelings about Miguel and Leah and what's happening with how certain people in season 7 are weaponizing them, namely Huda and her new man. And I have a very strong download about what Huda and her man are doing to Miguel and Leah. And it's a very strong, bold statement that anybody else making it might have been irresponsible. But I feel like, because my spirit guides told me, and I feel like because of the EQ work that I do, that I could potentially unpack this topic in a way that is not unhealthy. So tomorrow, I might be doing a live about what's happening with Miguel and Leah. For those of you who don't know what Miguel and Leah are, Leah was a fave from last year season of Love Island. She's not Palestinian. She's Iranian. She's incredibly pro-Black. I have a strong suspicion that when they cast Huda, they were hoping that Huda would be the next Leah. She wasn't. And yeah, there's a word that I always use to describe what I see is happening between season 6 and season 7, but I'm not going to spoil the surprise. So tomorrow, come back, because even if you don't watch Love Island, this is going to be a topic that I teach about in shades in my EQ classes. And for those who've been asking, the EQ link is in the description. The very last, I'm not doing any more because I still have to make sure I don't burn out. I can't pour from an empty cup. The very last EQ class of this entire year is happening next month. Limited spaces only, and the link is fall25.eventbrite.com. Once again, that is fall25.eventbrite.com. And if you want to do a one-on-one session with me, my September calendar is open. I think my August calendar is full. I think it's full. There might be like 2 or 3 spots left in August. But if you want to book a one-on-one with me, then that is bluecentricshop.com/readings. I will say this: if you have a lot to talk about, do an hour. If you have a very specific thing to talk about, do 30 minutes, because a lot of my clients are doing 30 minutes and then they're like, Blue, I don't want to get off the phone. I'm like, but honey, you only booked me for 30 minutes, right? I don't do free labor, because what I'm doing right now is free labor, right? But if you're in a session with me, please book the time that you think you actually need. If you are international, I've got questions about this. If you are an international viewer, I have a lot of international viewers who have international and American numbers. But if you are an international viewer who does not have an American number, here's the solution. You book a 60-minute session with me using a random American number. Look at McDonald's or something, using a random American number, and then email me after you've booked and tell me that you need a Zoom link. For international clients who do 60 minutes or more, I will provide them a Zoom link. I'm not doing it for 30 minutes. I'm not, because 30 minutes is way too short for me to go through all that trouble. But if you're doing a 60-minute session and you're international, that's how you can still see me without having an American number. Have I answered all the questions? All right, guys, I'm going to leave now. But please keep sharing in the comments after I save this any other topics that you want me to cover, because I want to make sure that we're covering things that are relevant, things that are important, things that speak to what is bothering you. And I do think that, and also, if there's anything you want me to cover when it comes to astrology, because everybody keeps saying, Blue, why don't you do more astrology content? I might dedicate a day to just talking about astrology and zodiacs and maybe pulling some cards. So I'm still going to think on that, because that is more draining, because the minute I pull out my cards, my spirit guides show up and they drain me a little bit. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do that in a way that won't burn me out. All right, I have to go now because it's time to go watch Essie's live. Love y'all so much. Adore you. Thank you for all the love you've sent me. And for those who asked, will I be releasing the podcast episodes with Icky? I went back and watched some of them last night and they made me sad. Seeing how much I cared about him and how great our banter was actually made me sad. So I don't think currently I want to put out anything that I've done with him that is unreleased. Not yet. Maybe in the future when the fresh pain of the betrayal is not so fresh and raw. All right. Love y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow. All right. Bye. And please send Bridget prayers. Okay. Please send my friend your prayers. And I can't wait for her to tell her own story. All right, bye, family.